Hello, YouTubers. This is Bigbabysld, and I'm back with something a little different. Give me 1 second. I'm back with something a little different. I just saw videos by Sleepyreader666 and Howler Mouse on how much they pretty much got started in the comic games. Just so you don't have to stare at this BCW. Yeah, I'll put some books up occasionally. I don't have anything new. Like I said before on one of my posts, that it's the Christmas season, so my next new comic book video probably won't be until January after the holidays. Right now, got to get the Christmas gifts out the way. And I already started. Just spent about $600 this morning. But I was looking at their videos. I looked at Howler Mouse's first, and then Sleepyreader666, who now I am subscribing to. I didn't know he existed until Howler Mouse brought him up. And they were talking about how they got into the comic game and their love for comics. I'm 41 years old, so I'm older than a few of you. I'm younger than a few of you, but I've been in the comic game for over 30 years, and I pretty much started when I was about 7 years old. I don't even know where the love for the comics. I was always into the superhero stuff. My mom would take me to the barber shop, and there'd be a big line, so she'd run to the store and come back with a Superman comic book. I mean, who didn't know Superman? Everybody knew Superman. And she'd come back with a Batman comic book. And I don't know if my love kicked in then. Maybe, I guess it did. When I would go to school, the older kids would talk about the comic books and who would win in a fight, the Thing versus the Hulk. I had no idea who the Thing was. And, I did my research and I found out later on who the Thing was. But my love for it started to grow, and we started trading in school, or guys would give me comic books. They were in half-ass condition. Half of them didn't have covers on them. They were ripped. They're missing pages. But I started a little collection. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And, I had about 40, 50 books, and they were all readers' copies. Every day I would go to school, my mother said, I leave my comic books laying around on the floor in my room. Actually, my room, we had a small apartment. I slept in the living room, and the comics would be on the floor. And my mother always threatened me. She said, listen, you don't pick up these books and clean up this room, I'm going to throw these books away. I will throw these books away. Yeah, right, Mom. Stop bluffing. Well, I called her on a bluff, and one day I come home and the books were gone. I tore up the house looking for them, and then when she came home from work, she told me, I warned you, if you didn't pick up the books, I was going to throw them away. And I hear the same story from a lot of people. Yeah, my mom threw my books away. I used to have a nice collection. My mom threw my books away. But instead of giving up, I started over again. And I've had my steady collection since I've been about 8 years old. I just kept buying and buying. Before you knew it, I had 50 books, 150 books, 300 books, 500 books, so on. It just kept growing and growing. By the time I hit middle school, 7th, 8th grade, 11, 12 years old, collecting comic books was not the it thing. It was my dirty little secret. You know, I'm an only child. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was the fat kid in school. Kids made fun of me, and you know what? The comic books were my escape. It was my escape. People have television, people have movies, people have books, and I mean, people, you know, like Sleepy Reader said, you had teachers that always, you know, them comic books will rot your brains. Those comic books will rot your brains. They're no good for you. And you know, that was from that McCarthy era hearings back in the 50s. And I forgot who the doctor's name was who said comic books were for the mentally challenged, or you know, they handed them out in prisons. They weren't good for kids. I saw Stan Lee do a whole special of them on a video once, and you know, you people talk about the comics, but I could tell you that my mother sat there for hours every day watching them bullshit ass soap operas. Some of the worst acting and storytelling I've ever seen in my life, and then get on the phone for hours gabbing about what Susan Lucci did, Erica Kane did with such and such, and this happened, or what's going to happen tomorrow. That whole fantasy world was no different than my comic books. I grew up when my mother and my aunt blabbed on the phone about what happened on Dallas or Dynasty. So, you know, but back in those days, it was my dirty little secret. I ain't talk about them. We had our small, you know, I'm a geek. I'm a comic geek and proud of it. And it was just, it was our dirty little secret. It was our, it was a geeky thing. I didn't play sports. I wasn't funny in school. I wasn't getting the girls. And, you know, comic books was my escape. And, I fell in love with them. I mean, Dr. Octopus, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. It was just, it was an escape for reality. That comic book was 21 pages long. You read it in 5 minutes, but it sucked you right in. It sucked you right in. And it was just, and by the time I reached high school, I did stop collecting. You know, I thought I could join the in crowd, but I wasn't one of them. I didn't play sports. I still wasn't getting the girls. You know, my weight was still there. And, you know, I got sucked right back into the comic books because it was something I loved. And to this day, I'm 41 years old. I still collect, and I don't think I will ever stop. It's something that I love. Friday nights when all them other kids were hanging out, going to parties, you know, hanging out at the beach or doing whatever, you know, my phone wasn't ringing off the hook. I had my comic books. They kept me company. You know, I still remember when I was a kid, Sunday mornings, I would get I would go to the store for my grandmother to get the Sunday papers, you know, and she would give me like $3. Back in the 80s, a comic was 60 cents. I mean, 6, 12, 18, 24. For $3, I walked out with 5 books, which is unheard of today. But for $3, I walked out of the store with 5 comic books. I mean, minus annuals, as long as there wasn't an annual attached. But I still remember them walks. I'd go to the store 6, 7 in the morning. This was back in the day. Most of the stores, there was one store on Franklin Avenue in Brooklyn, the corner of Franklin and Fulton. The guy had comic books and magazines just lined up against the wall. He didn't even have one of the spinning racks. He had the comic books lined up against the wall, and I would stand there forever. And you know, that's pretty much how I spent my weekends. That's pretty much how I spent my weekends. You know, when all my friends were playing ball Saturday afternoon. You know, eventually, as I got older, the girls came, girlfriends and stuff like that. But the love for my comic books, it never ceased. And to this day, my collection is just growing and growing, and it's just something I will never get out of. When the superhero movies come out, my wife's daughter has no interest. I'll go to the movies by myself. It doesn't matter to me. I'll go to the movies by myself. You know, back in the day, I used to go to the movies by myself. I really didn't have too many friends. Once in a while, I go with my cousin. But it was just, back in Brooklyn, it was just unheard of to go to the movies by yourself. You were popular based on how many friends and people you know. And I really didn't know anybody, or I would make stuff up. But, I mean, come on. How could you not like this? How could you not like this? I didn't let comic books rule my life, but they are a big part of it. And, you know, thanks to Sleepyreader666 and Howler Mouse for making their videos and showed how they got into their love of books. I've been in the game for a long time, and I don't ever see myself getting out of it. And matter of fact, I did say I did pick up these two out of Barnes and Noble. That last Avengers one and this Iron Man, these DK books. It's like a complete guide to Iron Man and the Avengers. I showed in another video the Spider-Man and the Batman. I know they have one more on Wolverine. I mean, these books are great. I mean, the whole history of Iron Man up until what he's doing now, the Ultimate, you know. If you get a chance, pick these books up. What are they? $25 a piece. Like I said, I already got Spider-Man, Batman, and the Avengers, and I picked this one up about a month ago. So the only other one I've seen, I know there's more. In my bookstore, there's one on Wolverine. So I plan on picking that one up. But alright, YouTubers. Just wanted to give you a little insight on how I got into the comic book game. And come January, I will be back. When the holiday's over, I will be back with brand new old comics. And this is Bigbabysld, and I'm out.